How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining me on my small engine repair channel. Today's short video is just going to be a bit of an informative one. In today's video, I'm working on this MTD Gold two-stage snowblower. And what I want to point out is if you have your skid shoes misadjusted or not adjusted properly or not set up properly, this is going to cause some detrimental damage to you in the future and potentially cause you lots of money. These skid shoes, okay, these ones are MTD ones, the long ones, the plastic ones. These things are made to wear out, guys. These are a wearable part. Okay, so when you are actually snow blowing, these bottom ends of these skid shoes should be riding on the ground. Okay, if you're not adjusted properly, what's going to happen is something like this. This machine is maybe, I don't know, a couple years old. I'll bet it doesn't have more than 10 hours of use on it. Let me show you what's going on with this thing because the skid shoes are misadjusted. You might be able to see it already, but it might be hard to tell in the video. But take a look at these bolts. The bottoms of these bolts, I don't know if I can get in there good enough. The bottoms of these bolts that hold on the skid plate are all getting ground away because these things are riding on the ground when it's being operated. So the last owner, either it came this way from the factory or they adjusted the skid shoes. Because what happens is a lot of people like to have this skid plate like run exactly on the ground because then it doesn't leave any snow behind. But when you're doing this, guys, you're wearing away these bolts, all right? And eventually you'll wear them down to the point where you're going to wear down the nuts too. And I've seen that. These ones aren't that bad yet, but you can tell they are definitely taking some damage. All right. So I'm going to show you quickly how to adjust these skid shoes properly so this doesn't happen. All right, to adjust the skid shoes on one of these things, first thing, a couple things you're going to need to do before you start adjusting them. One, make sure that the tire pressures are set properly on both sides. If you've got a flat tire, obviously that's going to skew this, right? So secondly, try and find yourself a nice level ground if you can. My garage is pretty level, about as level as it's going to get. And then last or thirdly, what you're going to do is get yourself a small, basically something that's going to be used as a spacer. I've got a single ply piece of cardboard here, and I don't know if I can get you low enough to see this, but the skid plate is going to be obviously sitting off the ground, whatever, height the spacer that you've chosen, right? Some people will use a ceramic tile or something like that. I like to keep it fairly low. I don't want it to be too high off the ground because I do want to try and, scoop up as much of the snow as I possibly can. So, there, I've got it the way I want it. And then if you come to the side, and again, everyone is going to be slightly different, but if you take a look here, that skid shoe is technically off the ground. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is get yourself, socket and wrench. And you don't have to loosen these all the way. All right, just loosen them enough that they can move. You see the skid shoe moves. And by the way, these skid shoes are actually reversible as well. So you can use them twice once this side wears down. And these to replace, a set of them might be $30 at the high end maybe. So you're much better to have this thing wear down, and these things will last you years with being able to use them both sides. Just replace them when they get beat up, guys. So you're going to want to adjust these skid shoes every so often because as they wear down, that plate that we showed you and those bolts, right, or nuts and bolts are going to get worn away. So you're going to do this on both sides. And as you can see, it's actually fairly easy. Now, mine are easy because this machine is not that old, and these nuts and bolts are not, you know, all that crusty yet. So sometimes you might have to spray some, you know, penetrating lubricant or whatever. And I just kind of hold it, make sure I push it down with some pressure as I'm tightening up that first one. And I just tighten them up, you know, sort of hand tight. And then once they're tight and they're not going anywhere, then I can snug them up. All right. And now we're going to go ahead and remove our spacer, and you're going to see it's going to leave that little bit of a gap on the bottom. It's hard to see on camera, but it's going to leave a little bit of that gap underneath here all the way across. So now it's riding on the skid shoes and not on the skid plate and the nuts and bolts. Okay, so that's how you properly adjust your skid shoes, guys. Hopefully this is going to be helpful to some of you guys. If you liked it, please show me a little love and smash the like button down below. And if you like wrenching on stuff like I do, this is a channel for you. So consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. All right, guys. So until our next project, take care.